My name is Clément Voule. I'm the UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Association and Peaceful Assembly, and I was appointed in April last year. I'm in South Africa here to organize a global consultation on my next report to the General Assembly. And the next report will be focused on the impact of restriction on implementation of SDG and in general the development itself. Because I think that it's important to ensure that countries understand the valuable role that civil society play in development. And usually we hear many countries telling us that civil society are against development. They disrupt the development. They are foreign agents that are there to disrupt country development. But what we are hearing from civil society is that we are doing a great job. The work that we are doing contribute to development. And we want through this next report to really show country that when you resort to the restricting civic space, when you adopt those kind of restrictive law, that does not allow civil society really to organize themselves, community to organize themselves, community to peacefully assemble. When you limit the funding for civil society, you are actually undermining your own development, because you are limiting the civil society capacity to be able to support some of the key areas that SDG want to address, including the area of discrimination, education, the area of ensuring that no one is left behind. And today, this consultation is bringing a lot of civil society across the world, from India, Malaysia, Latin America, Africa. And I want to have this broad consultation so that we are able, with civil society, to discuss about some of contribution that civil society is making for development and how those kind of restrictive law really impact them or prevent them to fully contribute to the development. And I hope that through this report I will be able to make a case. I will be able also to convince the General Assembly that it is important, whenever we talk about development, to include the conducive environment for civil society. We cannot go to development. Development for who? If development is for communities, if development is for the whole nation, those people that will benefit from development, they should be included. They know what is their need, and they want to do that. They want the development to be part of this development for themselves, not the development that is coming is up to them. So human rights should be included in this development. You cannot say today that you have a sustainable development where people that are supposed to benefit from they are not even consulted, their rights are not protected, they are not enjoying their freedom, they cannot assemble. I think that for me, this report will be an important tool for both civil society but also for those who are working in development area, to ensure that we kind of build this conducive environment for civil society participation to the development. My mandate consists to really to really ensure, as a UN Special Rapporteur, that states and international community they protect and promote the right to freedom of association and assembly worldwide. It includes also to do kind of to study trends that impinge on the enjoyment of these rights, and also to be able to inform Human Rights Council about some of these challenges that civil society community are facing around the world in really enjoying their rights to peaceful assembly and association. To do that, I produce reports, I receive communication, I receive complaint from civil society, from anyone that feel like his right is violated, his right to peaceful assembly and associate is violated. And I am engaged in dialogue with government through a communication or sometimes through a press release when I think that the situation is urgent that and it need international community attention. Part of my mandate is to include also technical assistance, both technical assistance for civil society but also for government. In the civil society side, what my mandate is trying to do is to provide them with tools to be able to advocate at the national level for the improvement of national legislation in terms of freedom of association and assembly. Also providing them with different kind of material that can help them to understand better how to monitor the protection of freedom of association and assembly at the national level, but also how to report this to me whenever they are facing or they think that these rights are not protected. And in relation to the government, my mandate also provide technical assistance, particularly in relation to the drafting of national legislation, for example. In many countries where I went to visit, or sometimes I build contact with government. Some government, they send me when they are about to draft a law that promotes freedom of association and assembly. They send me this law and I give them the comments, and I'm ensuring that this law is in line with the international standard. Also, some government, through my visits or academic visits or country visits, I also provide them my opinion on some of the area where I think that either the association, freedom of association and assembly are not enforced. That is, the state need to work more to ensure that these rights are fully protected, so that it enables communities to be able to participate to the political life of the country. It's my mandate also include to ensure also that we put every means we can to ensure the implementation of my recommendation at the national level. In this sense also, I work with some of the civil society at the national level to come up with different way where we can also reach communities to ensure that the outcome of the report that I'm producing at the international level get to the civil society, but also to ensure that the government also implement those recommendations. Yeah. Well, since I took the mandate, if I talk about last year, I think there was growing number of really restricting measures that has been taken by states around the world. To be honest, when I was coming to the mandate, I was not expecting that the world will be moving in direction that we are seeing now, where I think there is kind of dropping in terms of our commitment for democracy, and we saw many states taking measures to constrain or to restrict civic space at the national level. At the same time, we saw also the uprising in many countries where some social movements, because of this long-standing grievance, because of lack of transparency, lack of democratic space, people are now standing up to claim their rights. And unfortunately, in some countries, we saw that a government or security agent resort to the excessive use of force. And some of the country, we saw also that there is a negotiation going on, which we encourage, because we always say that this kind of uprising is a barometer of how the society feels, the lack of the space. And the government should use more dialogue, should use more communication, should use more tools that can bring more peace within the society by doing some reforms than really resorting to the use of violence. So there is this kind of increase, but also there are so increase in terms of populism today. A few years ago, we have many countries that stood up, can support these freedoms, understand this democratic space. But now usually we are seeing that countries that we can trust, countries where we traditionally we can count on those countries to continue to push for democracy, for rule of law. We can see that some of the speech against civil society, some of the speech against even in the international weakening, those are kind of speech that weakening the international system. We can see that it's increasing, and for us the question is, how can we continue to really holding some of the country accountable for their human rights obligation when we are facing this kind of the internal. We are seeing that some of countries that should be supportive for the international framework are weakening those frameworks. So I think I think today I will say that although we have piece of hope in relation to the social movement in countries where things are changing, example of Armenia, which is a good example, Tunisia, where although there is some challenge going on, democracy is still on, people are working towards democracy, the hope is still there. Sudan today and Algeria coming up, although this hope, let's say that we have a kind of huge challenge ahead of us. Yes, you are right. The non-state actor are taking, in particular businesses, they are taking a lot of today prominence, a lot of power when it comes to the international norms. Let's be honest, today, because of I will say because of the place that the economic growth is taking in the international discourse, companies also are becoming more powerful. They becoming more powerful at the national level because unfortunately, many states now they are more concerned about their investments than protecting human rights. They are taking also more space at the international level, even involving the drafting of some of the norms, because also at the international level today, one of the parameters is economic relation. And unfortunately, businesses, we should expect that businesses will play a role that is more conducive and is more pro democracy. But unfortunately, in some countries, we are seeing that business are not playing this role. That the concern of the business is to be able to get contracts without any kind of guarantee in terms of human respect. And what we are saying, and my mandate is to engage a lot with businesses when, for example, we receive communication or we receive complaint where businesses are involved in the repression of social movement, or business are involved in judicial harassment of civil society or human rights defenders. We engage with them, and we are telling the business that the business, for us, we need to promote sustainable business, which means that the business that is done in environments where there is a rule of law, there is democracy, because this is the guarantee for the long-term business. We cannot, human rights is not just for some people, it's also for business themselves. They are human beings, and they should, and it's in their advantage to operate in a country where the country respects the rule of law. And we encourage also the state to be able also to hold those business accountable when they are involved in human rights violation. And business should also avoid being complicit when they resort to the using their means or being inside of the government to repress civil society action. And civil society, because we think that civil society is important for businesses also, because they are those who understand the community. They are close to the community, and they are able also to tell business what community feel about this business. And it's an interest of the businesses to have a sustainable business, the business where the community feel like they are part of it, they benefit for it, and that the business is not there to harm their own environments or to harm their own rights. Yes, today, let's say that we are living in a digital age that really changed the way that we promote human rights. It changed completely also the way our activism. Today, internet is important. Online platforms are important in our expression, in way that we connect to each other, in the way that we mobilize around shared interests. And it provides unique and democratic space. It's also help us, our society, to be more open societies. Because today we are able to connect with people, we are able to discuss some challenges, we are able even to come together and to discuss about big agenda at the international level, only online. But unfortunately, this space today is becoming also dangerous, because some governments seeing that how these tools become powerful in people mobilization are putting a lot of restriction on online, on access to online. We have this kind of law, cybercrime law today, where we say that some of this law, they are overly phrased. Sometimes you don't understand what's really what the limit between criminal or terrorist and civil society groups. So engaging on online is not criminal activity. Engaging on online should be recognized, and then Human Rights Council recognize that that's also the rights should be expressed on internet as offline. And but we have this today, a lot of this cybercrime law that undermine the right for people to be able to access on the internet, but also sometimes criminalize even the activity on the internet. And the whole process, the whole strategy today for state to put some surveillance on the internet, where people, activists are followed, where we, some government will tell us that some of this equipment is to fight against criminal group, but in reality, it's civil society leaders that are that those equipment are used to really follow and to collect information against these civil society leaders. And we have also today one of the concerns that we hear quite a lot is also the technology of face recognition today, which trying to prevent people to publicly go out and also publicly demonstrate. You have this equipment now, this technology now, that is really done in to harm the capacity of people really to protest and to come together on the public square. And I will be presenting because of this challenge that the digital age is posing also in terms of expression of freedom of association, enjoying of freedom of association and freedom of peaceful assembly. I will be presenting in June my first report on this issue, which will try to really bring out the unique opportunity that those social media present today, but also some of the key challenges that we observe, and how we think that both companies, tech companies and states, should work together to try to make this space safe for civil society engagement. Recognize that this space is a democratic space for civil society, for communities, and it should be recognized as a right for people to be able to access their freedom of association online as they do offline. One thing that I hope through this in next two years I will be able to do collectively with other colleagues is really to stop this kind of this move in relation to this restrictive law, because I think that today we have those restrictive laws that it's become common. You know, you have those laws that is the anti-terrorism law, which sometimes they are broadly drafted, and you cannot. It's difficult, and because they are broadly drafted, they are also used sometimes against civil society members. But I'm with the opinion that fighting against terrorism should include civil society. You shouldn't. I mean, it's not just an issue of having weapon or an issue of having law. It's also to mobilize community, to let community, civil society also to understand the importance of our standing, because terrorists is against democracy. They are against basic value of human right itself. So it's in the interest of civil society. So trying to put together terrorist group and civil society is not, it doesn't serve the community. It doesn't serve the purpose of democracy and purpose of human rights. And also I think for me it's also important for the coming here to try to really stop this kind of strategy of undermining the whole international communities and the whole international human rights framework. Because it's important, if we are not able to rebuild this legitimacy, this credibility of the international system, where community that don't have any kind of remedies at the national level can go. Because people come to us because at the national level they don't have possibility to redress, they don't have possibility for reparation. And if the international system is not there, how they can do? And we need to rebuild that. We need to work together. We need to ensure that states understand the importance of human rights and the importance of freedom of association and assembly as an enabler right. This is why one of the reports that I presented to the General Assembly was also to make the link between freedom of association and the implementation of SDG. Because I'm with the opinion that no government will only alone achieve the sustainable goal. We need civil society. In order to ensure that civil society is able to participate, to fully participate, to contribute to the implementation, we need to create this conducive environment. We need to ensure that the laws that restrict civil society capacity to be able to contribute to the implementation of the SDG are lifted. So I hope that for the upcoming years, I will be able also through some of this report to get the work done at the national level, the implementation. Actually, government taking the measure to reverse the current situation of restrictive, current situation of civic space that is closing, and to ensure that we come up with the international system where people enjoy their rights, people enjoy the space, but also at the national level where civil society and government work hand to hand to build the country and to develop the country. We are in a phase where today we have also the climate change, we have also some challenge ahead, and we cannot exclude civil society from this work.